ימינו כקדם.
Please be seated. On Rosh Hashanah, after our virtual services, the clergy thought it was important to be in person with congregants in a safe, socially distant manner. We offered a parking lot shofar service, getting the chance to see many of you, which is the best gift a rabbi can receive. But on the way to the service, Erez and I noticed a car on the Sepulveda Pass, a ball of smoke, flames sneaking out of the hood. And so we immediately called 911, transferred to the Los Angeles Fire Department. I explained the situation, where the car was, and the man on the phone responded, "Thank you. We appreciate your help. We've got this one." Erez and I looked at each other and we just shook our heads because we had just been reviewing Rosh Hashanah services, what went well, what did not. And in that moment, we humbly realized that none of the small details really matter. What mattered was this. When someone on the side of the road was in dire need of help, there was a fireman ready to jump into harm's way to ensure this person's safety. There is nothing more essential in this world than knowing another human being was put on this earth to help another soul. Essential. The last 7 months, the last 7 months have caused us to view this world in an entirely new way. Essential is defined as important or necessary, indispensable. But perhaps for the very first time, we have heard people labeled as essential. First responders, mental health professionals, grocery store workers, garbage collectors, police, fire, men and women, teachers, the list goes on and on. Essential beings that keep this world healthy and thriving and moving and growing. And this is precisely what we contemplate on Yom Kippur. How do we define a purposeful, meaningful life? What causes us to be essential in the eyes of God? Let us remember the story of Abraham. Abraham is asked to leave his home, everything he has ever known, and blindly travel to a land that God will show him. The Midrash, the rabbinic commentary, compares Abraham's quest to a man that journeys into the unknown and sees along the side of the road a palace that has burst into flames. The man looks at the palace and wonders, where's the owner? Is there no one to look after it? And a voice responds from the middle of the flames, quietly saying, I am the owner of the palace. To which Abraham looks around and says, is it possible that the world lacks an owner? And God looks back to Abraham and responds with command, I am the ruler, sovereign of the universe. In other words, God, the master of life, understands that human beings, we exist in a world that is set ablaze, a world in which there is destruction and terror, chaos, hatred, and injustice. A world in which you might close your eyes and wonder, God, how could you let the owner of this place, of this palace, of this world become so unraveled, so incredibly broken? And the answer is both simple and overwhelming. God may be the owner of this blazing palace, but you and I, we are the only ones with the power to put out the flames. God puts within our hands the power of repair. It's Yom Kippur. We contemplate what it means to be on a precipice between life and death. And just one image should be searing through our minds. This world might be on fire, but God put us on this earth to protect and to nurture each other and to learn just how very essential we are. I recently read a story in which a rabbi reads the yahrzeit list, the list of the anniversaries of people's deaths. And somehow an error occurs, and the list includes the name of a living son instead of a departed father. Well, the rabbi received a letter from the son, and here it goes. Dear Rabbi, I attended last Saturday's enjoyable service. My reasons were twofold. First, to be with my children, and the second was to observe my father's yahrzeit. The temple informed me of the dates, and the bulletin listed my father's name. I attended expecting to hear my father's name, but to much surprise, when you read the list, you named me. My children and I were dismayed. I almost missed saying the Kaddish. As you can imagine, all kinds of thoughts ran through my mind. It was spiritually a shocking incident. Standing with my children and hearing my name to be mourned at our temple made me suddenly think of the future. And I'd like to relay to you some of my thoughts. First, I thought, when I'm gone, will my boys actually respect the traditions of my religion and recite Kaddish for me? Then I wondered if I have deserved the same love and respect as shared between Father and me. And finally, I recalled that the Kaddish was originally recited in respect for learning and for teachers. I realize now it's my responsibility not to command love and respect, but to teach my boys, stressing ethics, respect for others, and preparation for life. Quite a job. It's difficult to express these thoughts in writings, but please know that the impact was helpful and worthwhile. So thank you for the unintentional error. May all of our temple's administrative mistakes have such profound results. It's a wonderful letter, a revelatory story. But I ask all of you this morning, do we need our names inadvertently read on a yahrzeit list to make us wonder how we can lead an essential life? So instead, I implore you to do something else. Close your eyes and think about the people in your life. Think about the world in which you inhabit and ask yourself the question, where in my world do I see something ablaze? In which way does my world need only me? Rabbi Shai Held explains that in Judaism's view, we are called to be world builders. He says we are all asked to live with our eyes open. We can and must improve ourselves, but we cannot perfect ourselves. We can and must improve the world, but we cannot perfect it. That's part of what it means to wait for the Messiah rather than to pretend that we are the Messiah. But waiting for the Messiah is not an excuse for despair. On the contrary, we wait by working, by building, by dedicating our lives to causes and realities greater than ourselves. Why are you essential? Because as God's children, we are called upon to be world builders, understanding that our human purpose is to pursue visions and dreams that perhaps only generations in the future will live to enjoy. Yom Kippur. Today we are reminded that in God's eyes we have purpose, we are essential. So I hope you're listening. If you're a doctor, a dentist, a nurse, a pharmacist, someone in the field of medicine, a mental health practitioner, or a hospital worker, please stand up. And please remain standing. If you're a teacher, an educator, a counselor, administrator, clergy person, a judge, a lawyer, a mentor, a student, if you're someone who's devoted to the progress of learning, fighting for justice, if you're someone that teaches values to future generations, please stand up. If you are a maintenance worker, someone who cleans our facilities, our institutions, and our streets, if you are a person that protects others, be it police officer, fire person, security guard, if you are someone who works in grocery stores or restaurants, owns a small business, delivers goods, if you're a writer, if you're involved in technology, a communications technician, someone who allows us to stream our services, if you're involved in news and you help us gain access to the world, if you're an artist of any kind, a musician, a singer, an actor, a creator that allows us to view the world in a different lens, please stand up. If you are a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, a guardian, a caretaker, someone that cares for children and helps them grow, devoting your life to the needs of someone else, offering your heart each and every day to ensure the livelihood and care of another human being, please stand up. If you're a brother or a sister, a child, a relative or a friend, someone that counts on you for emotional support, an uplifting smile, a treasured piece of advice, someone that makes a deep impact when you offer your soul, and you know you do, please stand up. If you think about the ways in which you can better the world for others, for generations you may never see or you want to, please stand up. If you're praying for a world of peace, a world of change, please stand up. If you want this year to be the one in which you offer your own unique gifts, please stand up. Know that you are standing now, right now, with living rooms and backyards of hundreds of people, Jews from all over the world, remembering how necessary, how indispensable, how essential we are. On Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year in which we determine what and who is most important in our lives, as we stand, we must remember it isn't just about finding purpose. It's letting God's blessing watch over us as we rise, understanding that God created you purposefully, endowed with a renewed, deep, spiritual mission. It's a hard time for many people at this very moment, and it is a hard time. Physical and spiritual worlds may be burning, but God created you. God created all of us to put out the flames. It's time for us to understand that within our hearts sits the tools to rebuild. You impact this world with every breath you take. You are essential. And today, God needs you more than ever. So together, let's put out the flames. Shana Tova.